This is the Shrimp Trawler Video Channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball Excel Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the game of the week in the 1981-84 Fall League. It's a game today between the San Francisco Giants and the LA Dodgers. And we have a huge, humongous story in the game of the week, and that is, frankly, I can just point to the story in the game of the week. And there it is. The San Francisco Giants are just crumbling, and chomping on the rest of Major League Baseball at a pace that is, they are an indestructible force of nature that's battering the sport to the level we have never seen before. And, we got some results. We'll get to those. But mostly, they're doing this with the 84 Dan Gladden card at 362, the 82 Joe Morgan card at second base, his best year after leaving Cincinnati, Darrell Evans hitting 30 homers, Jack Clark's best year, Burleson, a one shortstop, 293 hitter. They got nice role players, Andy Van Slyke, Rick Miller, Bob Boone, Bobby Mercer's last good year with a ton of power. Pitching staff, Ali Hamburger's best year, Bob Knepper's best year. Gary Lavelle, Greg Minton closing games out. That's been the formula for the Giants as they've been rolling. They're hitting 288 with a 286 team ERA. No pitcher has more than one loss. You know, a couple of losses sprinkled around in a 17-3 start. So I'll let you how game one happened. Game one. And it's a battle between Atlee Hammaker and Orel Hershiser. Hammaker arrives in 83, Hershiser 83 or 84, I'm not sure which. But these cats are mowing them down through 9 innings. It is scoreless. Unreal. Hershiser, 4 hits, shutout, a walk and 4 Ks, leaves with a no decision, as does Atlee Hammaker, a 9-hitter with no walks, 7 strikeouts. In the 10th inning, using the modern runner at second rule, each team scored a run. In the second inning, the 11th inning, the Dodgers scored 1 run and the Giants scored 2 runs. So it's a 3-2 final, all the runs scoring in extra innings. Steve Howe, Luis Aponte, Greg Minton, and Gary Lavelle, they all gave up at least 1 run. Luis Aponte gave up 2 runs as the Dodgers would lose 3-2. All right, they attempted to beat the Giants, and they took them to 12 innings. And, couldn't do it. So what happens in Game 2 in San Francisco? Giants win 17-2. They didn't like that close Game 1, and they just had a day off of Bert Hooton, who left after 4 innings. He had a previous engagement. Beckwith pitched 2, Terry Forster pitched 2. Every pitcher gave up double digits in hits and runs and walks, and or not double digits, but more than 2 of everything here, I should say. No ones. There's not a 1 in there. 10 hits, 7 runs, 4 earned, 3 and 3, 6, 8, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, and a 4. You don't see 1 of anything. The Giants, Andy Van Slyke and Ernie Witt only had 1 hit. Everybody else had 2 or 3 hits, including Gary Gregg on the bench. The bench players for the Giants had 8 at-bats in this game, getting plenty of playing time, and a 17-2 laugher. As we go today to Game 3 in LA, could the Giants sweep the Dodgers? I think they may have mathematically clinched the division already, folks. We're just getting the Fall League started. They got this series and 1 more series. And what a kind of unfortunate times that this Giant team is in, because there's going to be a strike. We kind of established that in our opening of our league. We're going to have a strike at the end of this year, and then there won't be a playoffs and World Series. It'll just be an exhibition championship round game where a draft compensation draft pick is the prize. But hey, the Giants can win that. Moreover, the Giants can really pad their stats and get a nice head start on the continuation of the Fall League in the following years once we pick up post-strike of 1981. So just a crazy scenario here. Today in LA, the Giants will send their number 3 starter, Fred Brenning. In 83, he won 11 games for the Giants and with a 3.82 ERA. And the Dodgers will send Rick Honeycutt. Honeycutt in the year of the strike was pretty good, 11-6, 3.30 ERA. Always had a problem serving up home runs to left-handed batters. And so Van Slyke is in the game as a left-handed batter with power versus lefties for the Giants, as is Darrell Evans. We'll see if that becomes a story. As we get set to go here in LA, leading off, Dan the man from Gladden, 111, grounds is short. Joe Morgan, 58, flies to center. And Darrell Evans, 45, strikes out. Good start for LA. Steve Sachs leads off, 2-7, rolls to short. Kirk Gibson, 55, flies left. Dusty Baker, 38, he strikes out. Top of 2, it's Jack Clark, 45, rolls to second. Gary Gray, 2-6, rolls third. And Rick Burleson, the Rooster, 35, single 1-3, he cannot get it. 6 up and down. Bottom of 2, Ron Say, 2-5, he rolls to short. Reggie Smith, 65, pops to short. And Steve Garvey with a spoon, 1-3, flies to center field. The number 3 starters having no problem at all with these lineups. Andy Van Slyke, my friend Andy, 6'3", rolls back to the mound. Bob Boone, 65, pops to first. And Rick Miller, 4'11", left X. Out in left field is Dusty Baker's a 1, folks, a 1-3 in the strike year. Strike year, of course, very good to the Dodgers. They won the World Series, beating the Yankees in 1981, Fernando Mania year. So that's who theoretically should be here, but they aren't playing very well. Mike Marshall, 1-8, strikes out. Bill Russell, 58, flies to center. And Mike Sosho, 1-5, and we've got 18 up and down in Chavez Ravine, folks. You better get to the stadium soon. The game might be over. There are people like still in the freeway. This is like an hour and 48-minute affair, looks like. Dan Gladden, 69 off Honeycutt, and there is a single. He is an ace stealer. You got Sosha with a -1 arm. Morgan with power against lefties will hit away. 66. Second X. Sachs a 3E32 at second base. It's a GBA on Steve Sachs. Nice defensive play there. And Darrell Evans, 58, flies to center. Bottom of the 4th. Sachs, Steve, 1-6 is ball 4. He's a double-A stealer. And he's taken off against Bob Boone for not a smart move, as Bob Boone has a -4 arm, and he throws him out. So just trying to get something going here for LA. Grasping at straws, you could say. Kirk Gibson, 311, hit by pitch. Do you want to take on the Bob Boone arm? He's got another one in the chamber. You know, if you -4, if you want to do it again, no, that's okay. Fool me once, and it's all right. I'll stay at first base, sir. Dusty Baker, 1-7, double 1-9 is a base hit, and Gibson gets to third on the throw. Runners on the corners with 1 out. Ron say they're going to play back for a double play here. 410, homer 1-18 off the Fred Brenning card. It's gone. Fred Brenning having a rough 4th inning after 9 up and down. Second time through has been a disaster. A walk caught stealing to get an out, but then a 3-run bomb. 3-0, LA. Reggie Smith, 58, flies to center, and with 2 outs. Steve Garvey with a spoon. 4-6, second X. It's Joe Morgan, a 3E10. Makes the play. Giants being shut out. This is a story, folks. 3-zip. Jack Clark. 47. Flies to left. I'm not doing anything. I want him to do something so I can show you these cards. Gary Gray. 212. Lomax. And the Rooster Burleson flies to right field. One hit dandy by Rick Honeycutt. Where did this come from? 3-0 Dodgers. Bottom of the fifth. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
LA. 5 games under 500. I mean, this is a team. The rest of the National League West is crossing their fingers that there will be a strike, where the Giants are still hoping, come on, guys. Teams, players, get together and work it out. That's what the Giants are thinking. Ain't going to happen. Bottom of the fifth, it's Mike Marshall. 54, center X. Playing baseball with a threat of a strike looming. You know, that's what we're recreating here, folks. And he makes the grab in center field. So kind of a dark cloud hovering over the game of the week in the Fall League for the first time. Dark clouds are gathering. Bill Russell, 1-5, grounds a third. And Mike Scioscia, 45, rolls a second. As such, when that happens, when there's a work stoppage and there's a shortage of games and so forth, there will be wild swings in statistics. As we've just showed you the Giants' one-loss record. You might also see crazy guys hitting 400 this year. You might see pitchers with an ERA of 1 or something. Doc Gooden for the Mets has been literally untouchable all year, having one of the greatest pitching performances ever accomplished in Strat. All could be gone, washed down the drain, as we like to say, statistically, by a strike. But before then, let's go to the 6th inning. My friend Andy Van Slyke, 46, just misses the homer in K's. Bob Boone, 6'10", catcher's X. Scioscia makes the play. And Rick Miller, 37, single one to 6, cannot get it. My goodness, Rick Honeycutt. Gladden scratched out a single, and that's ruined the perfecto. Bottom of the 6th. It's Steve Sachs. 55, rolls a second. Kirk Gibson, 69, singles. Dusty Baker, 49, off of the Brenning card. 1-1-3 double. That's a double. Gibson, does he want to score from first on a double? He can fly. He's a 17. Zero arm. He's going to do it. And he scores. It's 4-zip. Fred Brenning is in trouble for losing half of the Giants' games all year. If they go 17-4, he would have 2 of the 4 losses. Runner at second for Ron Say. 47's a strikeout. And Reggie Smith, 55, flies to left. 4-0. All right, next step in this Giants coronation. Can you come back? Down 4-zip? I mean, you've been a front runner for your first 20 games, it seems. Let's raise the difficulty bar a little bit. I mean, you got Steve Howe, Luis Aponte, Terry Forster in the Dodger bullpen with a 4-run lead, and your starter is almost throwing a perfect game. This should be in the bag, you'd think. Matter of fact, can they even improve their defense? When you're going up against the boogeyman, which is the case here for the Dodgers, and defensively, I think you know what? They are going to make one little move. They're going to put Mendoza at short. He's still a 2 shortstop for Bill Russell. That's the only change. Okay. Top of the 7th, 4-0. The man from Gladden. 2-6. Let's take a look at this card. Folks, the Giants have been cranking out not just outfielders, but center fielders for decades. We can take this back to Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds and Gary Matthews and Gary Maddox and Larry Herndon and Von Joshua. And they had Dan Gladden in '84. This Giant team, my goodness, they had Larry Herndon. Well, he won a World Series for Detroit. They have Darrell Evans. He won a World Series for Detroit. Dan Gladden, well, he won a World Series for the Twins in '87. So you can see, folks, they're here. There's some stud players on this franchise. 2-6, a Dan Gladden single. Down 4, he'll stay at first. For Joe Morgan, you remember Joe, from the Big Red Machine and so forth. 1-3, fielder's choice. Morgan at first for Darrell Evans. 44, short X. This is the replacement. This is Mendoza. We brought him in at the bottom of the last inning, a 2E25 shortstop. And he kicks the ball, and that's, there we go. The Boogeyman have 2 men on with 1 out. And it's Jack Clark. Let's take a look. Holy Toledo, folks. What a monster card. Might be the best card of the early 1980s. Minus George Brett, I guess. Yeah, Brett, that would be number 1 on everyone's list. Clark somewhere in the top 10 of all greatest Strat cards ever with this thing. A 2-2E3 in right field, by the way. We'll take that. 200 at-bats. He's hitting .320 with 11 bombs. So the small sample size inflated the numbers, but that doesn't really matter, folks. You can play every day in our scenario. Here's your pitch to Jack Clark. 47, flies to left. Oh, yeah, Jack Clark. Didn't he help the St. Louis Cardinals get to a World Series in '85, I thought? So there's another guy. Anybody else I missed? Rick Burleson, 75 Red Sox. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Andy Van Slyke, was he on the Cardinals in '85 or '87? No, I think he was on Pittsburgh then. Bob Boone on the '80 Phillies. Yep. Yeah, that happened too. My goodness. Anyway, 2 outs. And the batter's Gary Gray. Show and tell. While they got a rally attempting, let's take a look at this guy. Gary Gray can hit home runs. My goodness. Strike year of '81, he had 13 and 200 at-bats. That'll get you 40 in a full season. Destroys lefties. And even with a lousy batting average versus righties, you'll take the home runs on a 7 and an 8. Very Andy Costco-ish. Costco-esque. If you follow him, his homer scenarios as a pinch hitter in the 70s. Here's the pitch to Gary Gray. 53 left X, and this is Baker, a 1 in left field. He makes the catch. What a day to be Rick Honeycutt. 2-hit shutout. Bottom of the 7th. Stretch time here in LA, and of course, a decade of Dan turns into the 1980s, so we go to Gaucho here. Yep. Drink Kashfaza from Michelle, or whatever the heck that means. Hey 19, you're Aretha Franklin, and all the wonderful stuff. Time out of mind. Really, the last one. And then, after this, they're out in the desert. They're in the sweat lodge doing crazy stuff. I don't know, but they're not making any more music for quite some time. Back to the game. Bottom of the 7th. Fred Brenning, you want to give the bullpen some work? Let's do that. He'll leave after 6. Let's go to Easy Ed Whitson in the 7th. Easy Ed could be starting. He's relieving. He was a Cleveland Indian, actually, in '82. 4-2 with a 3.26 ERA in 108 innings. Ed had a nice 1980, I believe, for the Giants. And in any event, he's still here in San Francisco. And he will face Steve Garvey. 4-5, flies to center. Mike Manor Marshall, 4-7 walk. Mario Mendoza, 49 walk. It's funny. If you've been seeing or hearing his name mentioned on my YouTube channel, I got Mario Mendoza playing in both leagues. I believe his 74 card was used, where he hits like 245 in the Summer League. And I got a 231 card that I'm using for the 1981. Now, he's a 2 at shortstop both times. Well north of the, in air quotes, Mendoza line. He's like, what Mendoza line? What the heck's a Mendoza line? I never even heard of that. Well, Mario, yeah. But, he walks. Mike Scioscia. 3-6, 3-6-3 double play. I actually had Chuck Scrivener's 083 card in the league one year. I'm very kind to shortstops. That's what you've probably been noticing that if you've been following the channel. Glorifying that position. As we go to the 8th inning, still 4-zip. Honeycutt is cruising. It'll be the Rooster, Rick Burleson. 45, rolls a second. Andy Van Slyke. 4-8, there it is. There it is. Should we let's flash up the Honeycutt card again, just for S's and giggles. You see, this is going to happen probably 1 or 2 times, but couldn't be any better than this. A solo shot when you're up 4 with 5 outs to end the game. So we'll tolerate a solo shot, and we'll get the bullpen ready. The next lefty with power versus lefties to bat is Rick Miller, who's in the on-deck circle. And we certainly don't want to give up a Rick Miller homer. That would be embarrassing. Before that, we've got to deal with Bob Boone. 66 flies to center, and with 2 outs, let's do it. We got 4 outs to get. Let's get him out of there. I don't want another stupid, silly solo home run. Honeycutt leaves. Standing ovation from the fans in LA. 7 2/3. But it's a 4-1 game with 3 outs to get. Let's go to the back end. Let's go to, they got a couple options here. Terry Forster, Beckwith, Hal. But let's go to the righty, as they don't really fear Rick Miller. Luis Aponte will come out of the pen. Lewis had a 3.18 ERA with the Red Sox in 82. Dodgers got him in free agency. He's going to try and get the final out here in the 8th inning. And he'll face Rick Miller. Here's the pitch. 2-6 is a grounder to short. Bottom of the 8th. Whitson continues. It'll be Steve Sachs. 55. It's double 1-6. It's a double. Kirk Gibson. 2-2. Pitcher. Johnny B. Baker, or Dusty. 1-9. Single to center field. Here comes Sachs. Taking on the Rick Miller arm, which is 0, and he scores. And it's 5-1. Ron Say. 3-6 is single on a 10. He gets it. 2 on. For Reggie Smith. 47 is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Steve Garvey. 1-6 is single dot to load the bases, and you got Mike Marshall. Trying to keep this within a grand slam. They'll take Whitson out, and Greg Minton. Co-closer with Gary Lavelle. 10-4 with the Giants, a $1.83 ERA in 1982, and 123 innings. We'll try and get the bases loaded out in the 8th. Try and keep this a reasonable game chance, reasonable comeback chance. Greg Minton versus Mike Manor Marshall. Here's the pitch. 1-9's a strikeout. We still have a game. We go to the 9th. Aponte. And then after that, Steve Howe to the lefties. So here's Dan Gladden. 48, he pops to third. And that'll be it. Well, just 2 batters for Aponte. And now we're going to turn it over to Steve Howe. The brilliant Steve Howe. What a career he had. Unfortunately, there was some off-field stuff that kind of shut him down. But boy, when he was at the top of his game, he was awesome. 83, a $1.44 ERA in 69 innings. You know, the lefty killer. And he will face Morgan and Evans here in the 9th. Here's the pitch to Joe Morgan. 1-9. Let's take a look at Morgan's card. May as well. See? I'm just showing you all the things the Giants have going for them. In 82, Joe Morgan has his best year since he was with the Reds in 77. That's a long time to be mediocre. And Joe Morgan was, folks. He was pretty ordinary for a nice chunk of the latter 70s, early 80s. But this is a fantastic year in 82. 289, 14 bombs, 85 walks. You know, still the ace stealer, still a 3-E10 at second base. 1-9 is a base hit. With a 4-run lead, he goes to second base without a throw. And it's Darrell Evans. 1-3 rolls to first. Morgan goes to third, and it's Jack Clark. 56 off of Hal is a strikeout to end the game. And your Dodgers have beat the monster. They beat the boogeyman 5-1. Rick Honeycutt with the win. Yeah, we'll give Steve Howell a save. And a loss to Fred Brenning. Home teams won all 3 games in this series. After the break, we'll give you the results of Game 4 and 5 if necessary. Game 4, the Dodgers will have Dave Stewart take the mound. Dave started with the Dodgers, then he went to Texas, and of course Oakland, Toronto. And the Giants brought back Gaylord Perry. Oh my goodness. For one final run. He's not anywhere like he was in the late 60s for the Giants, but he's still Gaylord Perry. And if there's a Game 5 back in San Francisco, it'll be Bob Knepper for the Giants and Bert Hooton for the Dodgers. We'll have more after the break, so stay tuned. All right, folks, here is the box score of Game 3 you just saw. It is the Dodgers winning 5-1. The 3-run homer by Say, RBI double Baker, add on in the 8th. Brenning has to take the defeat, 6 innings, just 4 hits and 4 runs. Honeycutt, 7 2/3, 3 hits, a run allowed. It's a 5-1 win for the Dodgers. Can they even up the series in a Game 4 and send it back to Candlestick Park for Game 5? Well, it started promising. Gaylord Perry versus Dave Stewart. And early in this one, Gaylord looks old. Single in the first, no biggie. But 4 singles and a walk in the second is 3 runs. A homer to Ron Say in the 4th. A 2-base error by Gladden, an RBI single. It's 5-zip. And we're thinking, yeah. But guess what, folks? Who wakes up? Those Giants. 5th inning off of Dave Stewart, you get a single, fielder's choice, a couple walks, a 2-run single. It's 5-2. Then in the 6th inning, they bat around against Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, Dave Stewart. A double by Van Slyke, a walk to Burleson, single by Rick Miller, walks to Gladden and Morgan. This team could walk. They have 4 guys who have probably walked 100 times in there. Joe Morgan, Darrell Evans, Jack Clark, sure. They take a 6-5 lead, give the Dodgers credit for tying it back up in the bottom of the 7th on a Mike Marshall homer. So we go extra innings, but it's all Giants in the top half of the extra inning. You get a Rick Burleson single, scoring the runner from second. Then Bob Boone rolls fly ball center X against Kirk Gibson. It's double ... So that scores another run. Joe Morgan is an RBI single. That's your 3 runs. And Minton is flawless. In the 9th inning, 3 up and 3 down with the strikeout. Same thing in the 10th. So Greg Minton, 2 innings of shutout relief, gets the victory. Joe Beckwith takes the defeat for the Dodgers. Giants 9 runs, 12 hits, 8 walks. So they put 20 men on base. Dodgers 6 runs, 13 hits, but they only walked once. Giants take a walk on the wild side. They win 9-6. The road team wins Game 4 after the home team won the first 3. And, of course, it would be the Giants getting a road win, improving their incredible resume. We can now take a look at some stats here. Let's start with the Dodgers, who are 10-15, and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's nothing they can do. They've lost 6 out of 7. No, they've lost a lot to the Giants. So they're 10-15. They're hitting a respectable 275, but a 4.18 team ERA. Don Sutton's no longer here, of course. It's just Bert Hooton trying to carry the bunch. Hershiser's promising, but he can't pitch on 3 days rest. Rick Honeycutt's the number 2. That's a little bit over his head. We got 5 home runs for Ron Say, but he's hitting around 200. We have 5 homers for Tim Wallach, a nice little theft the Dodgers got. Kirk Gibson, they got him off the Tigers, and he's hitting well, 350. But let's go to the San Francisco Giants, take a little deeper dive now, as they are now 18-4. A victory in the bullpen for Greg Minton. By the way, Minton's 4-0 with a save. Him and Lavelle, nothing spectacular out of the bullpen, to be quite honest with you. Team ERA has now risen to 3.05. But in 22 games played, Jack Clark has 26 RBI. Darrell Evans has 27 RBI. Your co-MVPs of the National League, you could say. Clark's 30 for 87, by the way. That's 345. Leading the club in hits, but really it's just the whole team is hitting, folks. You got 29, 26, 28, 26 hits all through 22 games. Yeah, Giants, when we look at the big picture here, woo! You smell that? That's 18 ball, folks. 18 and 4 burger. I mean, this is sort of what the beginnings of what the Tigers did in '84. Remember the Detroit Tigers? They started 35 and 5. Giants aren't going to be able to catch that situation. But an 18-4 start in a carryover league where the competition is ramped up is incredibly impressive. And kind of what a waste. It'll most likely be forgotten by the time the fall league ends this year, you know? But yeah, they're going to probably be the number 1 seed in the National League and wait to see who gets to play them in the championship game, and they have to win that and play the American League team, and if they do that, they get a compensation pick in the draft, and that's about it. They don't get no trophy or anything, so that's the spoils of war, folks. But moreover, break up the Giants for winning again in their magical season. San Francisco Giants beat the Dodgers. Thanks for watching the Carryover League. We'll see you next time.